I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry, guys. I had my mic muted this whole time. My mic was muted this entire time. Yeah, thanks, Goog. Oh, JC as well, of course. Of course, JC. Hey, JC, how you doing, mate? Yeah, exactly, you get it right. Professional. I'm a pro. What do you mean? I can't tell the difference, right? Anyway, welcome. I'm going to say this. Don't worry, I won't tell you. You're definitely going to tell Nathan. But anyway, once again, I'll do this intro. So, hello and welcome, everybody, to Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 18. And we are underway for round 7 here at Watkins Glen. And right now, we are in the dying stages of this qualifying session. I've already been giving it my best, but my mic was on mute, so definitely I'm late to this one, but the timer is ticking down, and Steve-O currently sitting in P3 with a 43.7. Ken Blocks is sitting in P2 with a 43.5 on the dot, with Maddie sitting on provisional pole position with a 1 minute 43.2. Steve-O currently trying to push along to get closer to his championship rival of Maddie as down the hill he goes through the right-hand hairpin. You've really got to keep it committed here, and you've got to be confident in the car to get back on the throttle as through the uphill hairpin now. Keep it left, and really a tricky traction zone here. The rear always tries to step out as through the penultimate corner now. Just a little bit of a lift or a dab of the brakes depending on who you are. I think Steve-O just takes a lift. He's not using all the track, and I think he's actually more preparing himself for one final push. So what we'll do is we're going to go on board here with Steve-O as he heads for a lap here of Watkins Glen, and oh no, he's backed out of it. I've read that completely wrong. Tuan Pham in the McLaren is pushing along though. He's making a return after a couple rounds off, and he's pushing along here up the gears towards the hairpin where my wheel famously decided to die at this exact corner in qualifying. Tuan pushing along and on the power to the edge of the curb, up to third gear, fourth gear, then you go right back down through this uphill left. Just look at the wheel. You've really got to keep it careful. The pedal work as well, really, really important to keep the car settled through the penultimate corner. Full commitment from Tuan. Where's he going to place himself here in the dying stages of this qualifying session? There's 9 seconds left on the clock. Tuan to the line. Will he be able to dislodge anybody inside the 2 front rows of the grid? Across the line now, it is going to be P5 is all he can keep as we go to Ida Nick in the BMW M4, as Good wondering what the game is. It is a Assetto Corsa Competizione, as through the outer loop and now back down towards the long left-hander. You've got to keep it fully committed. Ida Nick currently has a 44.3. He's going to have to improve by 0.4 of a second and actually just over to move up into the top 5 to get ahead of Tuan Pham as he heads up the hill through the toe, and now flat to the floor as you head down the mini straight. The BMW, not the strongest of cars on ACC, but it definitely shows a little bit of strength at Watkins Glen, as Ida Nick currently with a 44.345 has a lot of time to find. He's 0.2 up on his previous best lap time as he heads on the exit of the hairpin, grazing the curb on the exit, using all the track here, tracing the white line as he heads through the entry to the fast left-hander. And now a dab of the brakes to end this qualifying session here. The purple and red BMW M4 GT3 now heads towards the line and is going to cross the line for a 0.3 improvement of 44.0. He puts himself back ahead of Hoggy, who was able to tip ahead of him in the earlier stages. Mark Witchell improves by a couple of tenths, 44.4. Goes P8 in the Nissan GTR, and that is your final order here in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 18 for the Watkins Glen round 7. So Maddie takes pole position with a 43.2, and then Ken Blocks takes P2 instead of the usual Steve-O. So Ken Blocks definitely been picking up the pace in the last few rounds. The Mustang very strong around here. 2 tenths, nearly 3 tenths behind Steve-O, 4 tenths behind Maddie just about. in P3. Then you have Longy, Fam, Eda Nick, Hoggy, Witchell, Parker, Jensen, Empire, MJ, Tobasai, Swooper, Exiled Reaper, Dave Ross, and Lee Perkins. Round out your grid. Lee Perkins with no qualifying time set here for round 7. We have I believe, a... Oh, how long is the race meant to be? Hold on. Oh, I know I can see it on the right-hand side there, 25 minutes, but I don't think it's meant to be 25 minutes, if I'm honest. Hold on. I've forgotten the format, and if I'm honest, I was kind of rushing around to get the stream ready. Oh, yeah, it's 2 25-minute races. Okay, cool. Anyway, so 2 25-minute races ahead of us here. A reverse grid as well, just to throw a little bit of a spanner into the works for all the drivers involved. So right now, the contenders for round 7 are going to be Maddie, Ken Blocks, and Steve Reese and Longy in your top 4 2 fam, also not to be discounted. They're your usual challenges here in Fargone Racing, but with a reverse grid for the second race, that definitely throws some question marks in the air. But that's not what we're focused on right now. We are going to be focused well and truly here in race 1 for round 7. Watkins Glen, 25 minutes ahead of us. Maddie taking it away from Ken Block, Stevo, Longy, Fam, and Eda Nick is your top 6. So there is 34 seconds until we get the run towards the line. No full formation lap here in Fargone Racing, unlike some other ACC leagues such as OOR who do a full formation lap, but with the grid size being just about under 20, sometimes reaching 20, it makes sense not to have a full formation lap as the timer ticks down, and there is going to be 10 seconds until we get underway here for Fargone Racing. 25 minutes ahead of us for race 1, and Maddie will be leading us off, controlling the pace at the race start here, as engines will be firing up now and drivers will be driving away as the V8s now roaring away as they get up to pace here. And now we get ready for Fargone Racing, round number 7 here at Watkins Glen. Block's trying to run away with it for some reason here on the start. He's going to have to slow it up as Helicopter Cam is prepared, and now we get ready as they round the final corner and head towards the line to go racing in Watkins Glen. Maddie normally drops off a little bit off the start. Stevo, who's right behind her, normally gets really strong starts, but 2 Mustangs on the front row could mean Stevo doesn't get a chance to put his nose in as the green flag will get ready to fly as we are about to go racing here in Watkins Glen, and the green light is going to be go, and the green light is flashing, the green flags are waving, and we are underway here in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 18. Stevo going down the inside on Ken Blocks, trying to make the move for P2, gets pipped through turn 1 as we move back to Longy, who's going to be under a bit of pressure, but he's now trying to put the pressure on Stevo here on lap 1. The McLaren falling back here as we head up the hill. This is where the Mustang is more powerful than the McLaren as we now head down towards the bus stop for the first time in the first 25 minutes. 2 fam now trying to get involved on Longy as well as we head into the bus stop. It's going to be McLaren versus Mustang towards the bus stop, and meanwhile in the background as well, Hoggy and Mark Witchell go side by side. Longy with a bit of a wobble, 2 hangs it around the long way, gets the place or holds the place in P4. More to the point, Eda Nick is now going to be the one to try put the pressure onto Longy as we head down towards the loop through the long left-hander, and now on the exit the BMW losing out just a little bit. First half of the lap completed here on lap 1 at Watkins Glen. Maddie got a brilliant start to hold P1. Ken Blocks was under pressure but managed to hold it the long way round. Stevo now going to be in hot pursuit here as the pack will settle down into a quiet fight here in Watkins Glen, and 2 races ahead of us, so nobody's going to be too desperate, or if they are, they might pay the piper as we head further and further into this race, as Parker in the Aston is trying to find a move here on the Ford Mustang of, I believe, Jensen as we head through the penultimate corner. The Aston Martin looking stunning as ever, trying to chase the tail of the Mustang. It's going to be a hard ask. The Mustang very strong here in Watkins Glen. So it's going to take everything any driver has to try and get a move on a big American Ford at this American circuit. And the British V8 a little bit less powerful, it seems like, here in Watkins. The BOP not doing much to help matters as well, even with the custom LFM BOP that we run in Fargone Racing as we enter the second lap of this race in Watkins. And Tuan is going to find himself under a little bit of pressure now from Longy, and he keeps it on the inside, takes a little bit too much curb, he's sliding away just a little bit as they head through the outer loop now. Longy continuing to try and put the pressure on, and as we head now down the hill, there's not going to be a problem as car number 33 is slow. That's really unfortunate there. That's Lee Perkins, and we will grab a replay of that as that is the strain of Ferrari, as here is the replay down towards the bus stop. Maybe just a little bit too much curb. He's in the slipstream of Mark Witchell, I believe. No, that's not Mark Witchell. That's the other GTR. Is down towards the chicane. Oh, no, that's a massive misjudgment. And the concrete barriers that are immovable fight back as well to go with it. That is a huge contact and misjudgment with the inside wall, and a huge smack into the immovable barriers of doom that are at the chicane here in Watkins Glen. And that Ferrari of Lee Perkins is gonna have to limp home and wait for race 2. But speaking of wait for race 2, Steve-O is not, as he heads through onto the straight down towards turn 1. Steve-O has a great run here on blocks as we head down towards turn 1. It's going to be McLaren versus Mustang Power, and down the inside Steve-O goes, clearing blocks before the first corner. Steve-O up into P2 to chase down Maddie, but Maddie has been the quickest in the practice all week, but Blocks isn't done with this one just yet as they head up the hill. This is for the P2 spot, so it's not going to go down easy here as Blocks chasing tail in the slipstream with the Mustang straight line speed. Will he go down the inside of Steve-O? No, he won't. Reese is living to fight another day. Now he gets the chance to use his pace, but Longy and Tuan were wheel to wheel again temporarily through the bus stop as well, but Tuan still holding on to the place in what is an absolute looker of a McLaren 720S GT3 Evo, as we'll look up to Steve-O as there's a yellow flag again. That was car 5, so we'll take a look at what's happened to that car as well. That is MJ, who's had a moment, and that is a pretty unscathed NSX. Oh, a massive smash into the wall, not unscathed at all. And the Aston Martin is also paying the price for that one. A little bit of a popped up bonnet there on the Aston Martin, so maybe a little bit of contact with the NSX as they head towards the top of the hill, and maybe that's just what's happened there. The Aston Martin obviously being, I'm trying to remember names here. The Aston Martin being Swooper, I believe. Yeah, the Aston Martin. No, Parker was the Aston Martin in question. So I'm just having mind blanks with the names. As Steve-O, once he's gotten past Ken Blocks, is now on an absolute mission to chase down Maddie, but that gap is extended to over 2 seconds, and he's definitely going to have to try and fight for this one, as Tuan also in P4 is now going to be the next one to try and put the pressure onto Blocks, but that gap is currently 1.1. The more worrying matter for Tuan here is that pink Ford Mustang here in the middle sector, and anywhere where there's foot to the floor action, as Eda Nick also is under pressure here from Hoggy towards the bus stop for the P6 place. So a lot of action going up and down the grid here at this current stage of the race. Mark Witchell also looking in the background. He's not under pressure from 9 Pyre behind him, as 2 7 tenths ahead of Longy through the middle sector. This is where 2 will gain his time. He's definitely off his normal stride in this race. P4 definitely not bad, but he's normally just that little bit quicker, fighting up there with Maddie and Steve-O, as there is 18.5 minutes to go. So we've cleared nearly 7 minutes into this race here in round 7, and Tuan is trying to close in to the Mustang in his sights. And now the McLaren continuing to close and continuing to close, but just making mistakes every time. It looks like he's getting closer, and he's just drawing the gap right back out as we head through the uphill left-hand hairpin, as we are going to go back to Eda Nick versus Hoggy. This is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment, and it's for the top 6 to go with, as reverse grid can definitely change it, change the pace for the next one. But I wonder if the drivers are going to be single-minded and just go for the result here, or if they're going to try and strategize for the next race. Where will they start, depending on where they finish? But I don't think they really care about that, especially because they're inside that top 8 area. They're still going to be in that mid-pack pretty much no matter what, as they head up the hill. The V6 of the BMW sounding like a vacuum cleaner. The V6 of the Ferrari also sounding terrible as they head up the hill towards the bus stop. The 2 V6 powered cars on the grid push along, and they do as they head towards the bus stop now. Hoggy not able to put any sort of nose in here through the bus stop, through the outer loop now. The BMW trying to pull away, but Hoggy not letting it happen. The BMW a little bit weaker in the corners, and now Hoggy looks right, looks left, can't find a way around the outside or down the inside on Eda Nick in this lap. But he has a great run now on the BMW as we head up towards the toe. The uphill right-hander. The Ferrari's going to try this the long way around. It's almost impossible to pull off with the way the camber goes. But now Hoggy's trying to get right back underneath Eda Nick as they head towards the braking zone now. He's in the slipstream. He's gaining on the BMW. The Ferrari pulls to the right-hand side, and he's going to try it on the inside, but he doesn't brake late enough, and Eda Nick keeps ahead of Hoggy for the moment. This battle far from done as we now head through the uphill left-hand hairpin, and Hoggy's still trying to find a nose in. This is inviting Mark Witchell now into their little battle. The GTR just closing and closing and closing progressively as this race continues on, as we are nearly 10 minutes into this race. The BMW is trying to pull away, but he doesn't have the pace. Hoggy seems a little bit more comfortable out there on the track, and the Ferrari has the run on the Beamer as we head down towards turn 1. Will Hoggy go down the inside of Eda Nick at turn 1? No. He stays patient for the moment. The edge of the top 6, definitely not a bad position to be battling for whatsoever, as Steve-O has pulled 1.7 seconds to blocks, and Matty has 2.1 seconds to him, so I think that the 1-2 order should stay fairly similar here, as there is just over 15.5 minutes to go here in race number 1, as they continue to push and push and push here in this race session. And Eda Nick not finding himself under any pressure from Hoggy through the first sector, but now they head through the outer loop down the hill before they go right back up it here for the middle sector, as pushing very, very hard. Hoggy just can't find a footing to go down the inside. He tried it on the last lap, but it's easier said than done against a car like the Beamer, which is just so strong in the right places where it needs to be. It's so kind on its tyres. It's such a planted car, and that's what leans into it so well. And Hoggy is really trying to close down, but the Ferrari is pretty good on its tyres as well, but a little bit harder to get the power down on, as through the hairpin they go. The purple BMW just still not really finding his form here for the top 6, which he's holding right now. But car number 43 is hot on his heels. I mean, car number 42 is hot on his heels here through the penultimate corner. Hoggy basically pushing Nick through the penultimate corner. Brake for the final corner, and now the drive out of the corner. Hoggy runs a little bit wide, and he's not going to have the run on Eda Nick this time round, or does he? As he's gaining in the slipstream. Will the Ferrari go down the inside? Will he chuck a lunge from a long way back? No, he doesn't. But we are going to go to Ken Blocks versus Tuan Pham as they head up the hill. This is now the closest battle on the track, and it's for the podium place. Tuan hot in pursuit of Ken Blocks. We've already seen Steve-O get right past. Now Tuan in the other McLaren is going to try find his way past one of the top 3 drivers to get back into the podium place he's used to, but he can't find a way past with the amount of power that Mustang has down the straight. And now the McLaren chasing tail constantly, as he has been for the past 3 or 4 laps here. And now the push looks honest, it looks real, it looks like Tuan slowly getting quicker and quicker and finding his footing as we go further and further into this 25-minute race. And that makes you wonder what's in store for race 2. Tuan tried the outside on blocks. Realised he's not going to pull up alongside. If it's the last thing he does, he's going to have to play this exactly how Steve-O did and get it done down into turn 1 as the McLaren chasing as much as he dares towards the braking zone now for P3. He's not going to go down the inside yet at this stage as we head towards the braking zone of the hairpin now through this long left-hander. The blue and purple McLaren 720S chasing down the grey and black Ford Mustang GT3 car through the penultimate corner. Will 2N be able to make it stick this time round as he heads into the final corner? Who's going to get a good run? It looks like Blocks actually had a little bit of a wobble. And now 2N trying to find his way through as in the slipstream he goes down towards turn 1. 2N is going to look right, but he doesn't go down the inside here with 12.5 minutes to go. He knows he has time to burn. He knows he doesn't have to push it too hard yet as Edenik still hanging on ahead of Hoggy as they head now up the hill. Ferrari versus BMW once again here in race 1 at Watkins Glen. He's continuing to push and spur himself along down the straights. The 296 struggling to stretch his legs in a straight line here in Fargone Racing. Towards the bus stop we go for P6. Hoggy isn't going to commit down the inside quite yet to that one. 2N Fam currently holds the fastest lap of this race with a 1 minute 43.762. So he has pace out there at this current stage. He's quicker than anybody else on the racetrack, at least over one of the laps. But about the rest of them, I'm not entirely sure. It looks like Matty and Steve-O have the pace measure. But Steve-O even struggling to stay with Matty, who, as this season progresses, has just been getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And every week, Steve-O reckons that he's going to be alright, and then Maddie arrives on the scene underestimating herself and pulls up with a magical performance, which she seems to do all too regularly. And right now we're seeing that magic in full swing as there is 11 minutes 15 seconds to go. The race still raging on between 2N and Longy and Blocks, and the race also raging on between Edenik and Hoggy as they head for the edge of the top 6, rounding the final corner. Who's going to get the good exit? The Ferrari of Hoggy gets an absolutely phenomenal exit. Will this be the time he's going to go down the inside? Will he look for it? No, Hoggy is really patient here. He's going to sit there and make sure that he's alright to keep pushing on here as we head up the hill. The Ferrari chasing the BMW as he has been for quite a while now. I wonder what would happen if he beats him. It's the real question here. The racing would surely be supreme as they head through the bus stop now. And Edenik trying his damnedest to stay ahead of Hoggy, and right now it is working in every way and more possible than he thought, as 2N is not showing any gap. Oh, 2N's in the pit lane. Oh no, what has happened to our friend in the McLaren? Maybe he didn't put enough fuel in the car. It's not a mandatory stop, so that is a really weird pit stop to make from the McLaren as he has the engine on. He's not going again. It's really unfortunate, but that moves Edenik up into the top 5 and Hoggy into P6. So this position fight just got even more important as this is now for the top 5 place. Hoggy versus Edenik. A little bit of a dab into the dirt there for the car number 15 as they head through the final corner. Hoggy gets a good run, but he's running out just a little bit wide, but he's in the slipstream. He's gaining on the Beamer. Will he go down the inside? He's close enough to go down the inside. He switches to the right-hand side, but goes back to the racing line. These drivers really don't want to tempt their fate down into turn 1, and it's really showing. We saw it with Blocks as well earlier on in this race. They're just too tentative to go for it as they head up the hill. There is 8 minutes 45 seconds to go here in Fargone Racing for race number 1. And Edenik having no problems holding onto their place. He's having to defend only in small portions at a time, as we're now going to go to Swooper, who is really under pressure here from Tobesire as they head down towards the bus stop. Will we see the McLaren make a move for P9? I don't think so yet, but Tobesire pushing hard, using more track. He's using everything at his disposal to try and get past for the top 9, as there is 8 minutes 5 seconds to go here in Watkins Glen. And Swooper just pulling up a little bit of a gap as we go back to Eater Nick versus Hoggy. As just a little update for the leaders as well. Matty currently 2.8 seconds out in front of Steve-O, who's the P2 car, and blocks then 2.9 behind him. And then from this battle, from that battle up the front there is then Longy, who's in no man's land, 3 seconds behind Steve-O, and 3 seconds, or actually 3.4 seconds ahead of Eda Nick, who we're watching right here, right now, as the BMW pulling away just a little bit from the Ferrari through the uphill section towards the bus stop. Yeah, someone get this man a coffee. I'm absolutely knackered, mate. It's assessment week. I honestly, if I didn't enjoy commentating so much and I didn't love Fargone and the environment around it, yeah, I'd definitely just be asleep right now. I am absolutely shattered. But we continue on. I am trying, believe it or not. I'm trying not to yawn. It is a very exciting race. But thank you for noticing, Mace. As down towards the hairpin, Hoggy goes with Eda Nick just in front of him. Surely the Ferrari will be getting frustrated looking at the rear wing of that BMW all the time, but maybe not. Maybe he's just completely happy with sitting in P6. It's reverse grid after all, with 6 minutes to go here in this race. Maybe he does want to stick behind, but I highly doubt it. A position's a position at the end of the day, and one position in a reverse grid isn't going to make the difference between victory or defeat. As Hoggy chasing now, he finally gets the good exit he's been looking for on Eda Nick as they head down towards turn 1. The BMW out dragging the Ferrari just a little bit. Hoggy tries to find the inside. Eda Nick cuts across early, and Hoggy once again not able to get past. And sadly, the Ferrari not having the legs Hoggy would want down the straight. The BMW just quick enough, but it's not over yet. As we head up the hill, this is the closest the Hoggy has been as we head down towards the bus stop for the P5 position. And that is going to be Eda Nick defending the inside. Hoggy is going to try this the long way around to the bus stop. Who's going to break the latest? The Ferrari on the outside backs out of the nose, and Eda Nick holding onto the position. Masterful defense from the BMW in Watkins Glen. He is putting on an absolute show, as are these two, as they continue to battle away here in Fargone as we head down towards the middle sector. Eda Nick holds on for another day. Hoggy needs one more opportunity like that, and he's surely got to capitalise on it soon enough, as there is under 5 minutes to go. So any move has got to be made very, very shortly as they head up the hill towards the third sector, and the Ferrari only has a handful of more opportunities to try and get into the top 5, which would be a solid points placing finish for the Ferrari. As through the final sector we go now. Eda Nick gets a little bit of a poor run, and Hoggy deciding not to go down the inside. He's just really being patient here in Watkins. He knows that any wrong move could cause a huge incident here in Watkins Glen. So it's all going to come down to patience, playing your cards right, and making it all work together. As through the final corner we go again, and towards the first corner we go. Hoggy can't find a move on Eden Nick again as the clock is ticking. There's under 4 minutes to go, and Hoggy surely will begin to get impatient. Surely the frustration is beginning to creep in. The BMW just about quick enough in a straight line to hold on, with the driver behind the wheel not lacking any credit as well. He is defending like an absolute lion with 3.5 minutes to go. Probably 3 more laps to go here in Watkins Glen. Maybe 2, we'll see what the timer is, but I would imagine it is going to be 3 more laps to go here in Watkins Glen, through the middle sector, through the outer loop. There you go. Eden Nick has such a strong run through the bus stop and the outer loop. It's definitely where he's gaining the most time on Hoggy, and that's really advantageous for him. It means as we head onto the exits down towards the straights and sector 3 as well, he just has just enough of a gap to hold on as through the toe we go. And on the power, up the hill, they go. Yes, Tosh finally making her appearance in chat. Maddie, your driver that you support, leading the way by 2.7 seconds over Stevo. She is absolutely phenomenal out there on the track at this current moment. She looks absolutely unstoppable here in Watkins Glen. But we will continue to focus on this battle between Eden Nick and Hoggy as they head through the penultimate corner. They will have 2 more laps after this one in Watkins Glen. Rounding the final corner, Hoggy is falling away a little bit. He isn't as close as he has been on previous laps, but the gap is still only 0.3 of a second, so it's nothing to write home about. As into the first corner they go. Next lap will be the last lap, so Hoggy's time is running out. He is going to have a wonderful first couple sectors, but Eden Nick has made a mistake, gone off the racetrack. There's a lot of runoff at Watkins Glen, which he's used to his advantage. He actually gained a 10th from it, and Hoggy now with even more work to do, as there's 1:45 left on the clock. The time is ticking down. Time is running out for the Ferrari. Eden Nick has been defending as well as you can possibly imagine, and now he just has 1.5 more laps to hold on before he's home free for the top 5 in race number 1. But Hoggy, he's right there as they head through the outer loop. Will he try it the long way round? No, he won't. But he's so tantalizingly close behind this BMW GT3 car. He's been staring at the back of it from start to finish. And surely it's all going to come to blows at an overtake attempt with 1 minute 10 seconds to go here. The timer is about to run out as they're about to head towards the final lap of this race 1, and still Hoggy in hot pursuit. Their rear wings lined up. You can't even see the Ferrari when it slots in behind that BMW as they head through the final sector now. They have 4 sectors to go of this lap, not even as the corners tick down. They head towards the final corner in Watkins Glen to head on to the final lap of this race. And it's Eden Nick in P5. Maddie crosses the line to begin the final lap. She's 3 seconds out in the lead at this current stage. She has nothing to worry about, but someone who does is Eden Nick as we head on to the final lap here of race 1 in Watkins Glen. Hoggy is not going to be close enough this time, but surely we'll find him trying to find some places to overtake at unorthodox positions compared to what we've seen on the rest of the laps. Hoggy chasing tail in the slipstream. We know that this isn't close enough. We've seen it on laps gone by. The gap is 0.5 of a second. Hoggy is going to have to dig incredibly deep to try and get the P5 place as time is running out here. The timer hits 0. This is the final lap. We've known it since the line, but now the time hits 0 and desperation will now be clearly set in as Eden Nick defending still. Hoggy, oh no, he's blipped away. We can't see him anymore. That makes it ever more scary as Hoggy continues to try and hold on, and I'm not sure what has happened to Hoggy. He's absolutely disappeared. Maybe he's had an internet dropout. That would be incredibly unfortunate, but seeing as we can't see that Ferrari, which is a really strange incident to see, we are going to go back to our race leader, Maddie. She has a phenomenal pace here. The Ford Mustang and the incredible driver who seems to never stop getting better in Fargone Racing Season 18. She continues to lead the field fighting Stevo, but this time it's more or less not a fight. It's domination. Over 25 minutes, she's pulled 2.5 seconds, and she's going to take the win in race 1. Maddie crosses the line to win in Watkins Glen, and that is race 1 in the books. Stevo comes home P2, Blocks will come home in P3. Longy takes the flag for P4. Eda Nick is going to get P5, and I think I was right about the Hoggy disconnect. He is gone. Mark Witchell will take the P6, which Hoggy worked so desperately for. That's got to be absolutely devastating, as Asa Empire as well will push across the line to take P number 7. Swooper is going to be fighting Tobasire through the penultimate corner. Will we see the McLaren go for it at the final corner? He does think about it for the P8 place. Swooper makes a mistake as well, but as they head down towards the line, it's going to be Swooper who just about clenches a P8 ahead of Tobasire, who's going to get P number 9. MJ will come home in P10 as he rounds the final corner in the Honda NSX. And crossing the line now for the end of the top 10, Exiled Reaper in the other Nissan GTR is going to cross the line for P11. Dave Ross in the Caterpillar Ford Mustang is going to come home in the P12 place. Lee Perkins in the pits. 2N Fam in the pits. Jensen in the pits. Parker in the pits. All of those guys not finishing the race, but there is your race winner, Maddie, with a dominant display. She has some support behind her in the chat as race 1 comes to a finish here in Watkins Glen. And that is phenomenal. Now we'll have a reverse grid ahead of us as Mace saying Maddie's on a roll, as apparently Maddie won in Rainlight as well yesterday, so she is on an absolute roll. She is continuing to improve. She was struggling to keep up with Stevo, struggling to battle, to just getting better and better and better and better, and now she's finding herself in a place where if it's at the right track for her, with that Ford Mustang underneath her, she can topple even Stevo, who's the quickest of the quick. They still have great battles, but here in Watkins Glen, where the Mustang and the driver have the advantage, she takes it by a dominant margin in race number 1. It's phenomenal to see, as the race timer has ticked 0. As we'll bring up the timetable, so it's going to be Maddie from Stevo, then Blocks, Longy, Eda Nick, Witchell, Ninepire, Swooper, Tobasire, MJ, Reaper, Ross, Perkins, Jensen, Pham, and Parker, as sadly Hoggy disconnected, which is so unfortunate. And yeah, it is really terrible to see for Hoggy, who was battling so hard. He was trying to hang on until the very end, and it's all gone wrong for him. It's really gutting. As that is race 1 in the books. As anybody in the chat care to weigh in your 6th sense and your take on that race, please go ahead and do so. It was some phenomenal racing out there. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. As there will be quite a significant tick over before race 2. So what we'll do is we'll bring back up this screen right here. And we'll bring that up. Oh, wait, no, what is happening? Hold on. It's ticked over quicker than hold on. Oh, here we go. It's just restart. They just, instead of having the 2 races queued up, they've just had it restart. So they're going to skip the practice in a second, but doing an excellent job of resisting the urge to call the Mustang broken. I've been implying it. I haven't directly said it, but I've been implying it. There's a couple of drivers dipping out of the session, so... Oh no, I think we're going to see a new server pop up. Hold on. Yeah, so I will bring this screen that I had on back up as I continue to talk away, as everybody disconnecting from the server to get ready for race number 2. So I am actually confused as to what the protocol is here for. It's because I would have thought they'd just queue up 2 25-minute races, but I'm not sure at all. Anyway. For some reason it's saying the track is wet as well. How good. Yeah, I think we are seeing a new server. Alright. Hold on, what's the go? I'm a bit confused. Let me ping Stevo. Let me figure out what's happening. I'll be back in a second with the audio and everything. Yep, alright, I'm back. There is just a new server popping up. So we're just waiting for that one. So I was very tired there in the middle of that first race, and Mace popped it out and mentioned it, and then now I'm still tired, but at least I'm not yawning yet again, so we'll see how I handle. Oh, late night comms during assessment week probably isn't the smartest idea of all time, by the way. I will say that much. But anyway, we won't have to watch another qualifying session as it is reverse grid, so we will just go right into the racing action. So, it's past your bedtime. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, you're technically not wrong. But also, I'm normally up a lot later. It's just because I got absolutely no sleep last night. I had an assessment, and I decided the greatest plan was to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning. So, I'm just so intelligent, as you can tell. But anyway, I push on as, yeah, I got my second win. I don't drink coffee, not sadly, but, yeah, Mace, I don't have coffee, but yeah, second wind it seems like, yeah, I'm pushing on. As the second server surely should be up by now. Yeah, there we go. Let's get in there. School in the morning. Yep. Yeah, there is, sadly. As the drivers just feeding their way into the practice session. The conditions are pretty different. It's a fast track at the moment. I don't know if that'll change when they tick over into the race session. But again, another 25-minute race ahead of us, which should bring us to just before 11 o'clock. So, who knows, maybe I can sneak in 8 hours before my science assessment tomorrow. Anyway, that's not a you guys' problem. That's a me problem. I'm the one who decided to do this. Oh, and just a disclaimer as well, because I know Tash and Mace, you watch quite frequently. I won't be here next week, so next week's round won't have a race stream because it's going to be my dad's 50th on the Tuesday, as a matter of fact, but I'm going to be in Sydney on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I won't be around. But I will inform you of what next round is in a moment. I'm just gotta... There we go. I've just gotta set up my... there we go. So, next round. Unlucky but enjoy. Yeah, I will. Sorry, just give me a moment. Just trying to find the damn calendar, because the ASA Discord is... I'm blind whenever I look through it, let's put it that way. So next round will be Spa on the 19th of November. You bringing Dad to co-commentate? Yeah, but I won't have a device with me in Sydney, so... yeah, I'm going to be staying somewhere. Yeah, so next round is Spa, which is an enduro round, 12-minute qualifying, 70-minute race. So, yeah, if you want to catch the action, sadly, I will not be there. But then I will be there for the terrible, terrible track the week after, Circuit of the Americas. On the, well, if I do the maths, the 25th, no, the 27th, I don't know, I can't read the graphic when I zoom in on it. It's the 20-something. Before we then have the final round, which is an enduro as well, at the one and only Mount Panorama. 12-minute qualifying, 70-minute race around that legendary circuit in which ASA hosted a 12-hour, which myself and the sensational TV boys of Zach O'Reilly and Chris Monroe commentated for 12 hours straight, so a 70-minute enduro will definitely be well appreciated there, and that is on the 3rd of December. So the final race of the year, I believe, for Fargone before they get geared up and ready for 2025, which is just absolutely insane to think about, as the free practice is about to tick over for the reverse grid race session. So now, while we wait, it is going to be time for the fun facts about, well, not the fun facts about Watkins Glen. I don't really have any fun facts about Watkins Glen, as honestly, when I have my notes sheet like normal, but my facts were lacking because when I made it very quickly, so I got lazy. But anyway, obviously it's located in Watkins Glen, New York. The course was initially opened to host. The actual course itself was hosted and opened in 1956 to host auto races. Previously, Watkins Glen was held on public roads. It's 11 corners here at Watkins Glen with 5.552 kilometers. The race lap record is a 1 minute 23.9166, which is a lot quicker than the lap times we're seeing today, as of course we are not in a Dallara DW12 IndyCar from 2017, which is what the lap record is set in by Sebastien Bourdais. So anyway, we are now on the grid and getting ready to go racing in Watkins Glen for round number 7, race number 2. And the grid is completely reversed, which in an odd twist of fate actually really benefit Hoggy. Or is it Long? I'm so no, okay, all of the driver names are wrong, but that's Lee Perkins. Hold on, the driver names are all wrong on my software, but anyway, this has really benefited Lee Perkins and Hoggy. Hoggy, who was desperately fighting tooth and nail for the P5 position, disconnected, which put him second last, just ahead of Lee. Just ahead of Lee Perkins, who lines up on pole position. But Hoggy will be relieved to see he at least has a second bite at the cherry and a second chance to not even take a P5 to now and try to take a win. But Tuan Pham has a big chance here as well, as he was in the pit lane most of the race, I believe. But anyway, we'll figure out what the grid is. We'll square up what the grid is soon. I'm not really actually sure. I'm a bit all over the place with it all. But all I know is that Lee Perkins is leading away from Hoggy, Dave Ross, and Exiled Reaper, which is the main thing you need to know. So we are gearing up for another 25 minutes ahead of us. It is 10:31 p.m. ADT, New South Wales / Melbourne time, 5:03 p.m. in game. And we are gearing up for what is going to be a good one, as Lee Perkins leads it away. So here we go, as the drivers round the final corner. Lee Perkins being the car to lead us away here for another 25 minutes of Watkins Glen. And for some reason the pack is absolutely nowhere near him as they bunch up. Lee Perkins basically having to stop on the spot to let the pack close up, but the green lights are ready to flash. The green flags are ready to wave for race 2, and as they head towards the line, the green flags are waving, and we are underway for race 2 in Watkins Glen. Lee Perkins gets off to a bad start. He's going to get jumped by Hoggy down into turn 1. The red Ferrari is trying it the long way around here, but Lee Perkins trying to re-clear the Ferrari. He's going wheel to wheel as we head up the hill towards the bus stop, and the Ferrari still side by side. Hoggy on the left hand side, Lee Perkins on the right hand side. A little bit of a snap there from Lee Perkins as we head towards the bus stop. Car number 5 is already slow off at the back there. We'll get a replay of that one later on potentially, but that is MJ. But Hoggy leads the way from Lee Perkins, the Nye Empire, as they head through the end of the first sector. The BMW putting off in P3 with a Ferrari 1-2 currently, as Mark Witchell sitting in, or not Mark Witchell, sorry, Nye Empire sitting in P3. Mark Witchell is all the way down in, not on the grid land, as for some reason he's showing up on my telemetry, but anyway. Oh, my software, oh no, my software crashed. Oh no! Hold on. Sorry, my software crashed. Give me a sec. Give me a sec, give me a sec, give me a sec. Oh, it's all going wrong in race 2. Here we go. Alright. We're back. Alright. So, Hoggy leading the way from Lee Perkins. Then Nye Empire, Dave Ross, Longy rounds up your top 5, with Exiled Reaper rounding out your top 6. But what I'm more interested about is these cars trying to carve their way through the field. Tobasai nearly under pressure there from the Aston Martin of Parker. But Maddie, 2N, and Stevo. Oh no, that's nearly a massive moment there. 2N nearly making contact with Ken Blocks as they head up the hill. Maddie is now going to try that the long way round on the Nissan GTR, getting that one done on Exiled Reaper. 2N trying to get a nose in here in this little fight with Blocks in the way as a pretty much a roadblock. These are all the leaders from the other race. Blocks has to go off, cut the chicane, and off goes the Mustang. Maddie is now trying it the long way round. She has the nose in on the inside. Now she's going to try it the long way round of the chute. Maddie trying to make up lost time from having to start in last place from winning. And now she moves up past Blocks. She's already up into the top 7. So is 2N, Blocks, and Stevo's in P5. He's on an absolute hunt here. He knows if he doesn't wait around and if he can get away from the Ford Mustang, he's in with a really good chance here to try and take the victory. But he's got to catch Longy, Nye Empire, Perkins, and Hoggy as well to get this one done. And he's got to make moves on them as they're just up the road, as we're now going to have a full onboard lap with Stevo, as we haven't done one all race. And I think it's nice to see these drivers pushing at their very best. So one full onboard lap here with Stevo begins right now. As there is your full onboard lap with the McLaren of car number 6, Steve Reese, as he rounds the final corner, and he is within 1 second of that lead train, but Hoggy is desperately trying to run away with it. But also, we missed it while we were on the onboard lap. Maddie got past both 2N and Blocks. Maddie right now underneath the rear wing, our dominant race winner in race number 1, now just has the task of overtaking what is not a very quick in a straight, well, it's not slow in a straight line, but it's not a very quick in a straight line compared to a Mustang. McLaren is further up there. That is Lee Perkins and Longy going wheel to wheel towards the bus stop, and there's no casualties there. That's a nice move the long way around from Longy. Lee Perkins now dropping back into the sights of Steve-O as we head through the middle sector now. This is for the P4 place. Hoggy has absolutely booked it. He is off in the distance. He knows this is his only chance. He has 3 seconds out in the lead at this current stage. He is giving it full beans in the car number 42, and it's playing into his perfect position as Steve-O is trying this the long way around on Perkins through the toe, and now Maddie gets underneath, switches back, and she's on the inside of Steve-O as they head down towards the hairpin. Who's going to be last on the brakes? I have a feeling it's going to be Maddie. She gets it done. She moves up past Steve-O. Some would call that race over. I call this race on, as Maddie now has the challenge of trying to get past Lee Perkins, as this is absolutely heating up here in race number 2. The leaders having to fight their way through, creating an absolute scene here in this race, and it is creating such a good little battle, as there is also Blocks in the background there as we go with the helicam. Steve-O already dropping off a little bit from the back of Maddie, and Lee Perkins struggling to hold on to the place, but this is only helping the top 3 more and more as they continue to push on. The gap from Longy to Lee Perkins is 2 seconds at this stage. It could be a hard task for the leaders to clear. Oh no! Maddie has tapped Lee Perkins around. That's a huge moment, and that is all on Maddie. Sadly to say, that is really, really, really poor. It's a mistake. It's an honest mistake from Maddie. It's just, wow. Yeah, and she's let Steve-O go. But that is a very, very weird incident there. Lee Perkins just didn't have the drive up the hill. Maddie tried to find a nose, but it's just not a place where you can find the nose. And Maddie now falling down to P5. She's actually dropped a fair way off Steve-O, but the gap is beginning to close back in. But now Steve-O has the task of trying to find his way to these 2 cars in front that are battling. Nine Pile and Longy go side by side as they head through the hairpin. The BMW inching in front once again, but Longy isn't done with this one just yet. He's going to go down the inside. He's tapped the BMW around. He slows up as well, and now Steve-O and Maddie arrive on the scene, easy as they like. Another incident happening here in race number 2. Nyan Pyle will not be happy as he drops down the field. Longy is a roadblock on the exit. That creates a bunch of cars going side by side, and now that's going to be the opportunistic Exiled Reaper on the inside of the penultimate corner on Nyan Pyle, unable to get the move done. But that is absolute pandemonium kicking off here in race number 2. Incidents left, right and centre. But now the battle to watch is this one. There's a bunch of cars. This is a 5-car train. They're slowly splitting up, but the battling continues on as Longy just got a little bit desperate, a little bit like Maddie on the incident which we saw here. This time, last lap, it was never going to go well, as that is the Aston Martin of, I believe, James Parker, trying to find a move now on Tobesire. He's going to go down the inside very late on Tobesire. Gets the move done. A phenomenal overtake from the Aston Martin. A deft touch on the brake pedal later. And he's through. Now Nyan Pyre next up on the hit list to try and get past the McLaren of Tobesire. Will he go down the inside at the chute? He does go down the inside of the chute, and he's through the long left. He's on the inside. The BMW out drags, and now Exiled Reaper is the next car to try and get involved here. But Tobesire is not quitting just yet, and Longy's not quitting just yet. They're side by side through the toe, and that is the Mustang inching in front. Longy gets the move done, and now he's trying to close in on Tobesire. The Mustang stretching his legs now in a straight line. He's going to go down the inside here at the hairpin on Tobesire. The McLaren lagging around just a little bit, but move done for Longy. Now Exiled Reaper is going to have his bite at the cherry. Tobesire dropping from the front of the pack all the way to the back of it, and MJ is getting involved now as well in P14. And the Nissan GTR is currently behind Tobesire in what is a P10 place for Exiled Reaper. But we'll now move back up to Stevo versus Maddie, who are now chasing down Hoggy. But Hoggy is 6.4 seconds up the road after all the incidents, all the drama, all the controversy that's been going on in this race. These two, who are so fast, have 6 seconds. No, not, oh yeah, actually, yeah, 6 seconds, I believe, to try and gain here towards Hoggy. And some would think that that is absolute wraps here, and I'd honestly happen to agree. I think that Stevo and Maddie will get pretty close, but I actually think that the gap is less. I mean, more than 6 seconds. I think it's actually more like 7 or 8, as the gap really fluctuates. It's hard to tell until we get to a straight. The delta always changing between the front 3, but Maddie is going to be trying to at least put the pressure on Stevo to claim a P2 at minimum, but they are chasing down Hoggy, who currently has a load of time in his pocket. He just has to hold on for 13 minutes here around Watkins Glen in race 2, and he could find himself victorious after what was a dramatic disconnect for the car number 42. This, I'm sure, would mean so much for the Ferrari as he heads through the final sector. There's 12 and just over a half minutes to go. Chasing tail is Stevo and Maddie. This will be close, but we are going to go further down the back again to Exiled Reaper, who, actually no, we'll go back to Asa Nyan Pyre, as I hope I'm not botching that name. I happen to think I'm not, but we'll have to see. But we are halfway through this race, and it is showing no signs of letting down as Longy. This is the car he tapped around, but instead of going down the inside, the Mustang is trying the long way around on Nyan Pyre. He knows the inside doesn't work because he tapped the Beamer around last time, but Nyan Pyre goes off the track, and that is Longy up into the P7 position. The Mustang now is going to use its legs in a straight line to continue to hold on to that place as Exiled Reaper is going at it with MJ, but I believe MJ is actually a lapped car. So now we will permanently go back to Stevo versus Maddie. The gap only 0.4 of a second, and now we're going to get an onboard lap here with Maddie as she pushes on right up behind Stevo. And you can also just get a sense of the gaps as well when we have the telemetry enabled. So I will now shut up and let you guys enjoy that big American V8. as on-board lap complete there with the Mustang of Maddie as she continues to chase down Steve-O through the middle sector. But these gaps, I mean, they actually extended. I feel like I have more than just a commentator because I have an onboard curse. Whenever I see him to go onboard with a driver, they lose time to the car that I say they're chasing. It's not pleasant because I just want to see these battles continue to develop. But anyway, now I'm back off board and I'm actually talking. Maddie is going to continue to put the pressure on to Steve-O as the gap is 0.8 of a second between the two of them, but it is closing as they head up the hill. The Mustang gains 0.2 up the hill alone, and towards the bus stop it's more like 3. And yeah, Tash, I'd 100% agree with you there. It looks like Hoggy has this one in the bag unless he makes a mistake. With 8.5 minutes to go, he's more than a couple hundred meters down the road from Steve-O. The gap has closed about 3 seconds, but oh no, Maddie makes a huge error. She manages to hold it out of the wall. That is a mega save from the Ford Mustang, as that was nearly all over Red Rover there for Maddie in the middle sector, as that was nearly absolute devastation for the race 1 winner. And she has now got a huge task ahead to close back up to Steve-O. The gap is over a second now. Steve-O might find himself home free for a P2, and he's free to chase Hoggy. The gap is closing, but that was a huge snap and a bit of a heart and mouth moment, and Ken Block's actually arriving on the scene from that one as well. So we could see Maddie under pressure on her podium place as well. Steve-O, I think, has P2 locked in, but also anything's possible when he's versing a Ford Mustang. As down towards turn 1. This is a 4-car train here, but it's just not close together. There's not a lot of battling going on, to put it lightly. So not too much racing going on just yet, as there is 7 minutes to go here in Watkins Glen, and it's still anybody's game, anybody's race to call, as the gap between Hoggy and Steve-O stays relatively the same. Steve-O isn't closing in the amount he needs to try and win here in Watkins Glen in race 2, but anything's possible if Hoggy makes a mistake. But Maddie is giving it full commitment here. She needs to close back up to Steve-O if she wants to get the P2 place. The gap currently 1.7 seconds after a snap. It's going to be a hard task to close up to such a pacey driver, such a good driver, with Steve Reese behind the wheel of that car number 6 McLaren, as the car number 4 Ford continues to pump in fast lap times. Maddie actually currently holds the fastest lap of this race by just under 1/10 of a second from Steve-O, with a 1 minute 43.487, as there is 6 minutes to go here in Watkins Glen, and it is anybody's call as to who is going to take what position, as the gaps are, they're not humongous, so any mistake could cause a huge effect up and down most of the grid. As through the penultimate corner, Maddie would have to give it everything to close up the time that she needs to, and right now she is 1.8 seconds behind Steve-O, and the gap continues to expand and expand, and then close again in the middle sector, and then expand again. It's a bit of a weird sensation, as Maddie's just quick in all of the wrong places to actually make a difference into Steve-O's gap, but we'll see how it develops as we head further and further and deeper into this race, as there is 5 minutes to go, and right now Hoggy looks like he's home free unless he makes a huge error. So I think this could be his day. It could be the revenge race for the roaring Ferrari, the prancing horse, just prancing around the circuit. The Ferrari 296 GT3 car, I think, will find itself winning here. But there's still a few more laps to go before we officially call that one in the books. As Maddie in P number 3, she got the win in race 1, and in race 2 she's gone all the way from the back to P3. Steve-O's gone from all the way at the back, 1 position ahead of Maddie, all the way to P2, so it's ending perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But, yeah, definitely some variation in the result. I thought we were going to have this race. I thought even with the reverse grid that we would still see Maddie and Steve-O walk away, but I guess not, as Maddie is definitely struggling more in this race than she was in race 1. Plus, they got through the grid quickly, but with a mix of incidents and a couple of other factors, and Hoggy just being quick, but because of his disconnect starting at the front, so he was able to capitalize from that and gap the field as well. This race would have played out very differently if not, but other than that, they just haven't had enough time, I think, in my opinion, as the gap between Steve-O and Hoggy is now under 4 seconds, but it's closing so gradually that I think Hoggy will just about hold on from that white and black McLaren chasing behind him as they head through the bus stop. Maddie's falling away from Steve-O, actually. She's losing a couple of tenths a lap, 3 tenths a lap to be more exact, and Ken Block still trying to apply the pressure to that Zoomies Mustang that he's staring at. But yeah, a couple of brown pants moments for Maddie, especially the snaps here through the chute. She went all the way off next to the barrier. And, so yeah, it's definitely been a tough one for Maddie, but still probably will be a podium at the end of the day unless she has another massive moment. 2N Fam also having a fairly solid race, only 5 tenths behind Ken Blocks in this 3-car train. But I don't think he'll actually be able to get a move done, as the gap between Steve-O and Hoggy is now 3 seconds. So he's gained a second on that previous lap, did Steve-O, but I think that's just because we're in a string of corners, so the delta is probably showing wrong, as Maddie is kind of in her own little world now. She has just over a second behind her, but 2 seconds in front, and those gaps are kind of extending, closing. So it's interesting to see. Actually quite fascinating, is there is 2 more laps to go. Next lap will be the final lap. So we are on the penultimate lap here of race 2 in Watkins Glen. If you want to leave down in the live chat your thoughts on this race so far, unless there's a big game changer, I don't see it changing much from here. Give me your thoughts on this race and compare it to race 1 as well. Race 1 was complete and utter pandemonium. All the battling going on all of the time. But it definitely settled down more for race 2, but not in a bad way. It's still been quite an interesting race. It's the gap between Hoggy and Steve-O is now under 3 seconds, but there's not going to be enough time, and we will go off board with this man, the man who was fighting so desperately for the P5 place in race 1, but then disconnected, and he's used that disconnect to his advantage. And I think this is going to play very well into his hands, as I think he will get a good result, as long he is all over the back of Parker. You are right. As long he actually is trying this the long way round on the Aston Martin. And, oh, where will Longy go? Is he going to try the inside? He does go down the inside, late on the brakes in the Ford Mustang. The leader enters the final lap of this race. Oh no, it's happened again. A Mustang causing chaos, making contact with a car. They both don't know who's at fault. They're both trying to let each other through, as this is going to invite an iron fire, and they need to go. Otherwise, the BMW is going to find himself in this fight as well. They both hit a wall, and now they have one more lap to decide it all. But we are going to go back to Hoggy. No matter this battle, no matter what happened, we are going to look to Hoggy as he heads through the outer loop one last time, as I won't be able to get a replay of that anyways. None of the camera angles show what happened at all. Like, we're on the set 1, which is normally supposed to be the best set, but it shows the exit. Set 2 shows the entry, and I know that the helicam gets blocked off by the barrier, so there's no point trying to get a replay of what happened. So we'll go to Hoggy, as Tash asks, is this Hoggy's first win this season? Yes. The rest of Fargone's 18 seasons, I am unsure, as I have only started this season. But anyway, there was a bit of a moment there in the back between Longy and Parker. They're both trying to let each other go as well. Both too kind. They don't know who was in the wrong for the incident. But Hoggy, it's his day now. It's his revenge arc. He had a poor race 1 with the disconnect. He would have been very fuming about that, but I don't think he would have imagined just over 25 minutes later that he'll be rounding the final corner to take the win. But he is, and Hoggy crosses the line in Watkins Glen in race 2 to take the victory here in Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 18. The Ferrari takes the victory, and he will be ecstatic. The Ferrari takes the cake here in race 2, and he pulls over, and here's the donuts that I've been waiting for so many rounds. Hoggy knows how to celebrate a race win. The donuts from the Ferrari. He's very happy with that one here in the runoff at Watkins Glen, and Hoggy will be delighted. Stevo is going to pick up the P2. Then Maddie with the fastest lap gets P at number 3. Then Suan Pham gets P at number 4. Ken Blocks gets P5. Then you have Parker, who came home ahead of Longy and Nyan Pyre. So P6, 7, and 8. That order didn't change after the little you go, no you go moment. Tobasaya picks up P10. Dave Ross picks up the 11th place. Swooper picks up P12. Lee Perkins gets P13. MJ gets P14. And Anita Nick rounds out the grid. So that is Fargone Racing GT Challenge Season 18. Round number 7 around Watkins Glen. The double header reverse grid round in the books here. And that has been an awesome, enthralling night of racing. But that will be all for tonight's racing. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching the stream, if you're watching it back, I hope you enjoyed. And for anybody watching now, I hope you enjoyed. That is going to be all for me tonight. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time, as I won't be here for the next round, as it's over and out for tonight.